Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Big Al Hoffman Vlogs YouTube channel. And today I'm out here with my 1998 Malibu. You might be asking me, why is your Malibu sitting in the yard instead of out in the street or in the driveway? Well, I got an easy answer for that.
I believe in love, I believe in honesty. Does that sound like something you'd be into?
When I go to start my Malibu here, absolutely nothing happens. So I parked it in the backyard just in case we had some kind of street restrictions where we couldn't park on the street because I could not start this vehicle. Now I misdiagnosed this, but now I know exactly what it is. Now before it wouldn't start at all, it started very slowly. So I figured it was the battery here. I replaced the battery and still did the exact same thing. Right after I replaced the battery, I couldn't get it to do anything at all. I figured it was a starter as soon as I found out the battery was still good. But I do have a new battery, so that's nice. It's good. It should be good for 5-6 years. I really should have checked this battery out a little bit more before that. I could have saved myself about 100 bucks. What I had to do was turn the ignition on and see, even when I try to start it, it does nothing up here. Normally when you try to start a vehicle, the lights will dim and everything. So we leave it on the on position. Then you take a screwdriver and put it through these two terminals here. And see, there's nothing happening. It's a solenoid right here that's bad. So you get a hammer. So what you do is you take it, short it out. Mind you, this thing hasn't been running for about 2 or 3 weeks. I got a story behind this, kind of interesting. It took me a while to get the starter, and this is why. So originally, I thought that the starter that I had in there, which I'd replaced, was a lifetime warranty on it, but it ended up being only a 1-year warranty on it because I opted for the cheaper version. So they wanted $120 for the exact same part. And if I wanted something with a lifetime warranty, it would have been close to $140, I think it was, at AutoZone. So I went to rockauto.com, found one for $70, half price. Ordered this starter from Rock Auto. It was due to come in about a week ago. Ordered it a couple weeks ago. I woke up that afternoon actually because I had to work in the evening, and went outside on the day that it said it was delivered, and went out to the front step, and it was gone. Somebody had stole my starter. So I had to call up Rock Auto and wait about 5 days before they would resend out another starter, because when FedEx delivered it, they never rang my doorbell. So this time I was waiting for them to come, and I got it this time. You need to at least ring the doorbell or knock on the door at least once or twice so that you actually know that they're there. So now I have a brand new starter ready to go in the vehicle. So this is what we're doing today. We're going to replace this starter here so I can get this thing back on the road and out of my yard. Because look what it's doing to the yard where I parked it. I hate that. This really sucks for that. Hopefully it doesn't sit there and spin in that hole. Because I had a hard time getting this jack under there to jack the car up, because the car was sitting a lot lower. And then had to find a place to put my jack stand here. Always use a jack stand, especially when you're doing this crazy kind of stuff. You want to make sure your car's not going to fall on you while you're under there. So basically I had to use a tap the starter trick in order to get this thing started. So let's get this car into that driveway on the ramps so we can get this starter changed.
Silent nights recalling you, a souvenir of what it could be. Pieces of my mind are yours. I forgot the parts I'm missing.
And we'll see if this thing starts at all. If it does, it'll be very slowly. Nothing. So to change this starter, There are 2 bolts here, and you have to get the leads off of here and here. And there's also a protective plate for the flywheel that goes on right around here. Let's get to it. The tools you're going to need for this job are a jack and some jack stands, or a set of ramps if you have those. And I have 2 3/8 inch wrenches here. I got a flex handle here that is quite a bit longer, but this regular 3/8 will work just fine. You're going to probably want an extension, a 10 millimeter wrench, 8 millimeter socket with an adapter unless you have a 1/4 inch wrench, 10 millimeter, a 12, a 13. I noticed that the nut on the new one is a 13 and the one on the old one is a 12. And you're going to want a 15 millimeter. A long one is better than the short one. That's what these two are here, both 15 millimeter. And some thread locker to make sure those bolts don't come out when you put the new ones in. And I like to have a bunch of disposable gloves as well. First thing we're going to do is suit up the hands. I always double these up because they like to rip really easily. Got 2 of them here on each hand. Now it's time to grab your 8 millimeter and unhook the negative battery terminal. And get it out of the way so it won't touch the terminal of the battery here. Because you see what happens when you short out those 2 terminals on the starter with a screwdriver. Don't want to do that while I'm doing this. Looking at here, we got to get this one off of here, this one off of here. And there's a plate right there with 1 screw right there and 1 screw at the bottom here. And then after that you get the 2 bolts out of the starter, which are behind this plate here. And the whole starter will come out. That's how easy it is. So grab your 8 millimeter again. Get this off. Like that. Get that one off to the side. And grab your 12 millimeter. Take this one off. And there's also a washer on here. And there's this comes off first. And then there's another wire under here that comes off behind it. And that's all there is to that. Now it's time to get that bracket off of there. And I'll grab our 10 millimeter and get this bolt out of here. And this other bolt here is easier taken off with a 10 millimeter wrench. And once that is out, get this bracket out of here. And you'll see the starter bolts. One right there, and one right there. So grab your 15 millimeter and your extension. Break these puppies loose. We're not going to take it out all the way because that's going to be the last one I'm going to take out because the starter will fall when I take the other one out. And grab your long 15 millimeter. Break this one loose here. And we'll take this one all the way out. There's that one. Now I'll get this bolt out of here the rest of the way, holding the starter up so it won't fall. And there's the longer bolt. See how far that is to come to get out of there? And you just slide the starter out right through here, all kinds of space. There's the old non-working starter out already. Now what we want to do is compare the old and the new starter and make sure they all both look the same. The only difference is that this one here is a little beefier than this one, which is good. Maybe it'll last longer, maybe it'll work better. That's the old one. That's the new one. Now before I put these back in there, I'm going to put some removable thread locker on them just so that they'll stay in there and not get rattled out for some odd reason or another. Doesn't take too much, just like that on both of them. It'll work its way around as it goes on and it'll hold them on, but you'll still be able to get them off if you need to change the starter later. Alright, let's put the new starter back in. Okay, there's pretty limited space here for getting the screws started, so I started them off camera. Just make sure you get them started straight, don't cross thread them. Make sure you start them by hand. Once you know they're running into the threads correctly, then you can go ahead and tighten it like this. And before I tighten the other one up, I'm going to go ahead and snug this one up really good. And go ahead and tighten this one down completely. That should be good. Then we'll tighten this one down completely. That should be good. Got the thread locker on there. Now we'll slide this plate back in here. Start the bottom screw first. Then we'll start this. We'll get this one in there most of the way. Tighten this one down with your 10mm wrench here. Then tighten this one down. You don't need to go crazy on these two. You're screwing into plastic. You don't want to break it. Get them so they're good and snug. That's it. That should be good. Now we need to get these nuts off of here. Then we'll put this on here, the washer, and the new nut. Grab your 8mm, snug it up. You don't need to go too tight. You don't want to strip this out, but you do want to get it snug so it's a good connection. There we go. Then remember, the small wire goes on first, and then the big wire goes on over that. Make sure this is square with this square part here. Looks like this one's a 1/2 inch or 13mm. And once again, snug it up, but not too tight. Then put on your negative battery terminal. Then we'll see if she'll start. And that's all there is to changing your starter on your 1997 to 2005 Malibu Classic. Please give this video a like if it helped you out. Consider subscribing if you like my content. I got a lot of stuff coming up here. I'm going to be replacing a lot of the front suspension parts on this vehicle right here. So if you're interested and you have a Malibu and you want to know how to change all your suspension parts, I'm going to be doing control arms, I'm going to be doing inner and outer tie rods, I'm going to be doing wheel bearings, also stabilizer bushings and stabilizer end links. So I'm going to be replacing quite a bit of the stuff on the front of the vehicle. Then I'll be doing self-alignment. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully this video helped you out. Have yourself a great day. We'll see you on the next one.